Savage reigning supreme. It's not only hip-hop's first true philosopher, as an MC rapper, he's considered the best live hip-hop MC of all time. So there you go. What are you doing? Give me a call. Are you believing that I've got a giveaway this morning? No, I haven't though. Damn you too! So don't miss a chance to see KRS-One in action. Keep listening to Radioactive to win tickets. I would tell you when they are, but I'm not going to tell you when they are. You'll just have to keep listening to Radioactive. Cruel, I know, but very fair. This is KRS-One and Marley Marl, in fact. It's called Killer Rapper, but I think we're going to rename it this morning Save a Dolphin.
From 30 in the 70s, is that right?
The ones I've been sending have been in colour.
The Scotty moment's probably got a permanent file now.
I would say so. But I told you about catching Kate Wilkinson in a letterbox, because I've had a couple of, there's been a couple of times where she's been speaking in hospital and got quite off between her and I.
Yeah.
So she knows who I am. And then I was driving down Tram Road and she was at her letterbox checking her mail and we made eye contact and I was in my car with and just the look of terror on her face. And like, oh God, he knows where I live.
He's a still.
Alright then, mate. It's okay, cousin. Hi. Yeah, sorry, I just want to check how it goes. How are you doing? Right, let's just play them tune and then we'll get straight into it.
Liz is just downloading a letter to hand to the government today.
Whoop whoop, sound of the police, Killer Rapper, Save a Dolphin, it's all the same thing really. For all those, we had a lot of calls about that, sorry, I will be telling you when the giveaways are. Amplifier show today, Wednesday Night Jam on Wednesday, my show on Thursday, and then it's all good in the hood. Right, coming up we've got some Warriors in, and they don't play rugby. Actually, maybe they do, I'll ask them. We've got Scotty and Pete Bethune in. We're going to be talking about the March for Maui, which is happening later on today. In between the Air Force trying to buzz us, you know. That is today, isn't it?
Yesterday.
The Air Force, is it?
Oh, well, somebody rang. Yeah.
Well, no, they were practicing
Parliament.
yesterday.
We are competing with them at Parliament, so originally we were told, no, you're not allowed to turn up until 2.
Oh, right.
And then Gareth Hughes said, no, you've got to be there at 1:30 because that's when the media and the politicians are there.
Yeah.
Media will go in the house at 2 o'clock.
Exactly. So we're going to be there at 1:30.
The difficulty was that Gareth told Rio that he didn't know what she was talking about. Anyway.
Well, Rio had asked the government people and they said turn up at 2, which would have been...
Yeah, that's this guy.
That's probably why they told us that.
Bob Pierce Security. He hasn't responded. I asked him to confirm yesterday. I sent him...
She's spoken to him this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and it's all going.
Brilliant. Good morning, how can I help you? Hello, Scotty. Oh, Thatter, yeah. Thatter, T-H-A-T-T-A.
Is it recording? Oh, sure.
What, they played live?
So with this you can hear it. You can
Yeah, oh, Heat Like Me. Can't help you there, mate.
Beautiful. You can have these, of course. It's a video at the moment.
Not sure. Alright. Take care, Scotty. No. See you, buddy. Ta-da. Who's doing the chatting then?
All of us if we're allowed.
Yeah, of course. It's just 2 of you can have to share a mic. That's all good.
The Dr. Liz Susan.
Yeah.
Scotty sent Jim a briefing for that publicity. Scotty, you're
Eco Ops Manager.
is that right?
Is that the right way of putting it?
National Director.
No.
National Director. Yeah, right that one. Cool. Scotty went to Namibia on the SEAL mission.
Oh yeah.
It's on American TV. They've got themselves a TV show over there.
Cool. Okay. Alrighty, 50 seconds and we'll crack into it.
president or whatever
I'm
of
not sure what I
Israel.
knew. Just look up a name.
I'll come up with a name.
If you're sharing, just come nice and close to the microphone because it's I can always turn you down, but obviously that's it. Pete, you just on that one.
We haven't got a seat.
Oh, you two here.
Is there a seat?
Yeah. If the headphones are too loud, just give a quiddle.
We'll sort it out.
That's Club Feet there with bright lights, big city. There's a lot of it around, I tell you. Now, welcome to the show, Mr. Bethune. Can I call you Mr. Bethune?
You call me anything you like.
Can I call you Warrior Bethune? I don't know. Pete? I don't know. Author of Whale Warrior, but also, I mean, so much more, and we'll get into it briefly, you know. And also, welcome to Doctor. Dr. Liz Slooten. What a great name. You're a Maori dolphin scientist, am I right?
That's right.
Yeah. Right, let me just turn it up there, and then we go. And we've also got Scotty in as well. He's the National Director of a SEAL mission. Now, we'll speak to Scotty in a moment because we've got 2 mics and 3 people. So it's better than last week when I actually had to interview some Japanese people and they didn't speak a word of English. No, I didn't speak any Japanese. So we sort of did a lot of that stuff, but it was very good. Anyway, Pete, welcome to the studio.
Good to be here, mate.
It's bloody good to have you, mate, considering you spent, for those that don't know, if you've been living under a rock for the past year or so, you spent quite a little time in, on a boat, not of your choosing, well, it was your choosing actually, but then you sort of disappeared to Japan.
I had a month on a boat called the Shonomaru on a free voyage back to Japan, and then 4.5 months in a max security prison there, and I was happy to get out.
You was in a maximum security?
Well, they painted me up as this very dangerous terrorist. And
right, yeah.
When I got to Japan, my security detail to escort me to prison was over 100 people.
Wow.
And so they were super careful with me, and they put me in this max security with all these Yakuza and terrorists and one guy who boarded a boat without permission.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, you're a skinhead. I mean, what do you expect? You know what I mean? We're here to talk about saving the Maori dolphins. There is a March for Maori today. Its start time is at 1 o'clock. Meeting it down at Allen Street, and then we're walking all the way to Parliament, past Dock as well. Interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to stop outside their offices as well.
Indeed.
And at MAF as well. And then arriving at Parliament for about 1:30. We might just have a little run down there because we want to catch all the media before they go and do what they think is more important things, which it isn't. But there you go. 55. It's a sorry number, really. How do we arrive at 55, Liz? 55 dolphins. What's going on?
Well, this has been going on for quite some time. So I started studying hectors and Maori's dolphins in 1984, and at that time already we were finding all these dead dolphins on beaches.
Yeah.
So we started interviewing fishermen, and they would bring us in dead dolphins that they'd caught. So I've autopsied about 120 of these, which is not fun. Much more fun going out in a boat and photographing dolphins and finding out about how they're surviving, how often do they breed, and that kind of thing.
It's a hard thing to do, really. I mean, all you can do is really look at the surface and sort of look for things, really, isn't it? I mean, there's a figure they say for how many of you see coming to the surface is times 4 underneath. Is that right? Is that about right?
Well, something like that, yeah. So you can fly a plane over the top of them, and then you can count them, and then you work out how many are you seeing right underneath the plane, which should be every single dolphin that's up at the surface. Yeah. And then you look at what proportion are actually at the surface, how long they've been underwater, etc. Yeah.
55 though, well, where's that figure coming? How do we quantify that? We're 55. I mean, is it 54? Is it 70? I mean, and where's that bottom level? Because I know there is the extinction line that things go under, and then it's just unsavable, regardless of how much we look after them.
I think that the number they're saying at the moment it's between 55 and 80.
Right.
They don't know it's exactly 55 because there might have been a couple born last week, for example, and stuff. But it's in that range, 55 to 80. But whatever it is, it's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy,
and it needs to be changed.
Yeah.
But at the moment, there is so little action being done by the government and by DOC about this, and they will be gone unless something drastic's done soon.
If, for example, we had a farmer and he was going up there and he was sorting his cows out and he was, you know, fishing, as it were, you know, out in his field, and all our dogs went missing because they went underneath the combine harvester. We get pretty pissed off about it. But because we can't see it and we don't know about it, we just don't live in the sea, we don't realise what's going on. So how do we change that?
But the challenge we have is the bulk of these are caught in gill nets, and there are fishermen who make their livelihoods from this, and the fishermen don't report the bulk of what they catch, and so DOC is basing their numbers on the information provided by fishermen, and they all say they don't catch any. My twin brother, he was a commercial fisherman based down in Riverton, and when he first started work for this guy, on a single day, they caught 5 Hector's dolphins. And the owner of this vessel has been in the media in this country saying he has worked 20 years, never caught a single Hector's dolphin. So the trouble we have, we can't trust the numbers that are coming back from the fishermen, but we know they are getting caught in gill nets. If you take the Hector's dolphin in the 70s when gill nets were first introduced, there was 30,000. We're now down to 7,000. So the precarious position that Maui are in, 55 left or 55 to 80, Hector's is going to go the same way unless these gill nets get taken out of these waters.
Can you explain a little bit about what a gill net does?
Liz, you're probably better than me at that.
The difference between a gill net and a trawl net gets dragged through the water. A gill net is a wall that just sits in the water. So it's made of very thin plastic like fishing line, you know, that sort of thin plastic fishing line stuff. You can make a net out of that. And they call those gill nets, and you can either anchor them to the sea floor, in which case people often call them set nets, or you can leave them drifting, and then they're called drift nets. And these nets are basically an obstacle in the path of the dolphins, and especially if they're busy feeding or you know, not necessarily paying attention.
Having sex, which they do a lot apparently. For pleasure, by the way. One of the only sentient beings in the sea that does it for pleasure, but there you go.
Imagine you having remembered that particular...
Well, I do remember...
well done.
Well, no, I had the...
What else do you know about dolphins?
I had the opportunity one morning to go out in Kaikoura a few years ago and go out on the boat and see them all basically travelling in hundreds and hundreds from all around, and they were... And I said, why are they all coming in this direction? Are they coming to see us? I went, no, they're coming for a bit of Jimmy. I was like, oh, fair enough. And then you saw them doing it, and I was like, that's nice.
It's like a raid, really.
Yeah, it's a raid. Yeah, we'll put it that way. Is there any way that they're able to use these gill nets and put some sort of sonar device that would scare them away? I mean,
sadly not. No. So there's been experiments with this for at least 10 years, more like 20 years.
Yeah.
I recently went to a workshop at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution in the States, where a whole team of people who've been studying that kind of thing came together. And the problems, in a nutshell, are that dolphins will habituate. So it's a bit like if you wanted to scare dogs off your lawn because you don't like them crapping on your lawn, and you put the sound of a really big dog or something else dogs find scary on a speaker on your lawn. A couple of days later, the dogs will know exactly that there's nothing. This is just a bluff. There's a sound, but there ain't no big dog, and so they'll ignore it. So dolphins are smart animals, and it's not easy to fool them with a noise like that. The other problem is some species will not just stay away from the net, but from the whole area. So now you're excluding them from an important part of their range.
Right.
So there are half a dozen serious problems with those kinds of technical fixes.
Tell me if I'm wrong, wasn't a report come out from some oceanographic society or something? They mentioned very, very recently that in fact they want to reclassify what a dolphin is with regards to sort of the pecking order. I mean, we sort of put ourselves at the top of the pyramid. I know we're technically not, but there you go. But I mean, Maui dolphins, they learn, as you've mentioned, they understand, they communicate, I mean, at what point do we sort of say they're worth looking after? I mean, if they're just, a fish, or not a fish, they're a mammal, but you know what I mean.
I think you could look at it this way. New Zealand is blessed to have the Maui and Hector's dolphins here. They are the smallest cetacean on Earth. The Maui today is the world's most endangered cetacean. We laughed at China. There was the Yangtze River dolphin, and in I think it was early 80s, it got declared functionally extinct, where there was a few left, but they couldn't breed and take themselves out of it. And we laughed at China at the time, but at that stage, then the Maui became the world's most endangered cetacean. And we are lucky to have them, and I think New Zealand can become a world leader in how do you take a species from the brink of extinction and save it. And we have done this with birds in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We can lead the world in doing this on dolphins, but we can't do it with a government and a Department of Conservation that just sit on their asses and do nothing. And they're talking about more reports and more studies. You know, how many studies do they need to tell us, look, we just need to get these gill nets out of these waters? It's a simple option. It'll need a government with some backbone, and I don't know that we've got it at the moment, quite frankly.
I suppose you could make a same example of what's happening, and it's completely different, I know, but what's happening in Syria. They're sitting down for another week talking about what to do in Syria while another few hundred people are dying because of it. So it's a strange one. I want to talk to Scotty, National Director, or is it of the SEAL mission? Come in, Scotty, and sit down and make yourself comfortable.
Of Earthrace.
Earthrace.
I work for Pete.
You work for Pete.
You look like you work for Pete as well. Pete works for no one, right? Because
So, Scotty, tell us about your life in times, because you just got a new program. Am I right? Is it on the National Geographic, or what's happening in America with that and stuff?
With Pete's show.
Yeah.
I can't tell you all at once.
Come in on the way. Sorry, there we go.
We're that's still sort of in the pipeline at the moment. So
we want to talk about it.
We film. We're doing a lot of work in Africa and Latin America, and we've got a TV show based around our things. So I've got a team of ex-military guys, and we sort of take on hard targets in marine conservation, and especially this year in Africa.
I mean, you are the poster boy. Let's admit it of it all. I mean, you are the
I'm an ugly poster boy.
Well, you know what I mean. I mean, Scotty could be. Scotty could be.
Oh no, I'm uglier than he is.
Yeah, all right.
He's my bouncer.
Pete gets into trouble and I get him out.
Right. It's a great way to live. I mean, you're obviously very committed. Is there any point you sit there and go, what am I doing? How did you get into it for starters?
Well,
obviously you got a conscience.
Yeah. Well, I probably we had a small group of us in Christchurch that were protesting outside the Japanese embassy pre-earthquake.
Yeah.
And that was sort of where it all started for me.
Yeah.
And then sort of gravitated towards Pete, and saw that there was a pretty good relationship to be had. Both had same sort of similar values.
Yeah.
Both a bit mad. And
in the right ways.
In the right ways.
Yeah.
I think people like Scotty, we are lucky to get to work on stuff we believe in.
Yeah.
A lot of us go through life and we do 9 to 5 and we work for others. I get to work on stuff I believe in, and I'm really blessed to do that. And people like Scotty, it's quite intoxicating. You get to come in and follow your passion and follow your dream, and we're lucky to do it.
Talking about those 9 to 5ers though, this is a perfect day to show your support for it. I know there's a lot of apathy around, as New Zealand does. It seems to be part of our psyche just to be apathetic and, it's too far away, we're on a little island or two. But today is a way to do it. 1 o'clock down at Allen Street and walk to Parliament. It's a good way of showing the support. It's a good day for it as well, Marie.
Yeah, it is. It's we've got good weather. And we've had good people working on this, putting this together. Paul Moss, Rhea Kemp, and some huge international support. Barbara Mars, and obviously Liz.
Yeah.
It's just gold, and just getting so many organisations together, all working on one goal.
Yeah.
It's probably quite unique. Wouldn't
At the moment, we had a meeting at the WWF yesterday, and that's World Wildlife Fund, not the wrestling, eh?
Yeah. Although, Scotty, I don't know.
And there was about a dozen groups there, and we're all on the same thing. We're all trying to save the hectares of Maui dolphin, and as little splinter groups, maybe it's not effective, but there's a lot of momentum around this now, and if some people could come out and show their support for this cause today, Allen Street 1 o'clock, and march on Parliament, just come and make a bit of noise, and just show your support for this cause, because like I said before, we are blessed to have these dolphins in our waters, but they will be all gone unless these set nets and gill nets are taken away, and that's what we're asking for.
Yeah. And it is a tip of the iceberg, as you mentioned, because beyond the hectares and the Mauis, there's other things that are going on, which I suppose must be the next campaign for you. I mean, I want to go back 2 years ago. I know that you've left Sea Shepherd, and I want to just touch on what happened there, because you went in, and then Paul Watson sort of distanced you almost. Political reasons, I know, but what happened there?
Yeah, it was my last month in prison. I didn't know that at the time, but I had a journalist come in and say, you've been booted out at Sea Shepherd, and I was like, well, what's this over? And so she held up this press release, and I read it, and they booted me out because I'd taken a bow and arrow on the vessel, but Paul Watson had always given me permission to take this bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And so they kind of booted me out, and then when I got out of prison they said they didn't boot me out, and then they kind of squeezed me out. And
Yeah.
But that's okay. Look, I've moved on from
You've moved
Sea
on.
Shepherd, and I'm quite happy to be doing my own thing now. And Scotty and myself, and
Yeah.
we've got a good team around us. And Africa and Latin America, there are festering sores. I do believe, on the whole, New Zealand fisheries management, it is the best in the world. There are some festering sores, and this Mao and hectares is the biggest.
Right.
But after that, I'd say on the whole, our fisheries is quite well managed. But you go to Africa, these countries are just being raped at the moment, a lot of it by Chinese and Korean vessels that go on there and fish with impunity. And so
and on land, in places like Nigeria with Shell was just pumping out oil and shit into the land and not giving a fiddle about it.
When you're a conservationist, the challenge is which battles do you take on. There are so many battles to be had, and I'm very conscious that we take on battles that I think we can win, where we can add a lot of value. And certainly when I look at this Maui and hectares, this is a cause that New Zealand needs to get behind. We can't sit around and watch the Maoris go extinct and then follow them with the hectares.
Absolutely, and I think it's a case of us standing up and not being apathetic. I mean, we as a nation tend to think we're off the edge of the earth and nobody really listens. I mean, I made the call yesterday, the SAS are coming home, and I don't know what your view is. I mean, you've got a bit ex-military in your group and stuff. I mean, the SAS are coming home. What a great way to show the world that we're in for peace and just disband them. I don't know.
Actually, there'd be a few more guys from my team if they disbanded. I've got a couple of SAS boys in my team.
Nice. What a way to say, don't mess with us, we've got SAAs. Alright.
Well, I salute you. I think it's brilliant what you're doing. I remember when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and we picked up a guy. He was, what do you call it, thumbing a lift down to London, and my mum picked him up. He ended up being the guy that was running. I think it was Chris Bonington. I can't remember his name. Yeah, I think it was somebody who was looking after trying to get the gorillas saved and stuff. And I was like, what was I, 6 or 7? That was gorillas. And then what came next? The elephants, then the rhinos. What else is it? Oh, then the Siberian tigers. And then
the pandas got in there.
And then the pandas got in there as well. And then it was the whales, and now it's the dolphins. Where do we stop? What's? I mean,
never stops.
Unfortunately, do you see an end to it? Do you see an end where you just go, right, it's been sorted, we're all right, I've done as much as I can?
I think we all have obligations to leave this planet a little bit better than what we inherited it, and these battles are ongoing, and 1,000 years from now people will still be working to save species.
I wonder if they'll ever try and save the human race. I don't know.
No, I think we're too resilient. I'm not sure we're worth saving.
Well, it's going to be a great day. Let's go through who there is. We're going to have Karakia at 2 o'clock, and then there'll be a Putatara, a mass Putatara, which is basically 55 calls for the dolphins that are out there. I mean, it could be even less. We never know. Dr. Liz will be speaking then, and Pete, you're going to be speaking. We'll have a Tamariki time. Gareth Hughes, of course, Greens, all the way behind you on this.
Greens have been very supportive.
And becoming a major force in politics in this country. It's good.
Yeah, I think the Greens Party has come of age.
Yep,
they stand up for things, and it used to be, I think they were a little bit sidetracked in the early days and got carried away with smoking joints in Parliament. These days, I think they're outstanding.
Yeah. Ruth Dyson from the Labour, of course, got to give it. It's interesting. There's no national support from
Funny
you
that.
Funny that.
Yeah.
And a wonderful friend who I met many years ago, who's a great director and writer. Tanamahuta Gray will be there. Of course, he did the Maui stage show, and Karina Subadar will be there from Forest and Bird as well. Let's not even get into Forest and Bird because I'll just start getting all 1080 on it. Tracy Brown will be there as well. World Wildlife Fund, and Paul Moss as well, the creator and wonderful man of March for Maui as well. So thanks for coming in this morning. If I had, the balls, I'd get involved with you. You know what I mean? Maybe one day, I don't know. I'll
just start going to the gym and...
I do know how to fire an SA-80, but let's just leave it at that. All right, nice one. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. Good luck, and we salute you.
Pleasure, right. Thanks very much for having us.
Yeah. Good morning, Forest and Bird Appreciation Society. Good morning, how are you? Nice to hear you, Mr. King. Lovely. Oh, I've no idea, mate. I'm standing on the steps of Parliament with my suit on today, so we'll be doing that.
It's good playing.
Alright,
Yeah.
take care of yourself. Sorry, mate. Good support, so there you go.
There you go. Got a chance sorted?
Those guys I've got was Maui Dolphin on the brink. do something now or they go extinct. I wouldn't say it's poetry nor genius.
That's okay. Maui dolphin.
On the brink.
Maui dolphin on the brink. That's now all go extinct.
Or they go extinct.
So that's the marsh thing?
Well, that's one. He's holding the Laurela.
It's a work in
And
progress.
we're here in Kapai with Dr. Liz Slutin and Pete Platoon from ECO and Scotty Bowman from Earthrace Conservation Organisation and yours truly. I don't know what we're doing. Here we go.
You and Scotty and